So thank you everybody for joining today. We have Greenane and Ellesia from AEGIS Title Group coming to talk to us about how to read a title. So we're really excited to have them with us today, and the floor is yours.
Thank you so much for having us. I'm Greenane Davison. I'm with AEGIS Land Title Group. And with me is my peer, Ellesia Barradale, and she is our senior title officer and has been in the industry quite some time. The goal of today's meeting is to go over a title commitment. So, you know, they're very wordy. There's lots of paper and they mean a lot. So we're going to talk about that in just a moment and things to look for, pitfalls, and how to be a better agent overall by understanding what a title commitment actually is. So we've made it a little bit funny. So look for those little funny bits along the way, and hopefully you'll find a little bit of humor in what can be sometimes a dry subject, but very important. We had a previous Tech Tuesday, Rachel, like a month ago maybe, and I just wanted to let you know a little bit about us. Of course, I can't see this. Oh my gosh, this is really hard to see. And essentially, I just wanted to let you know we're AEGIS Land Title Group. We're a locally owned title and escrow company. We could be considered boutique, but we are that and so much more. We're very technology forward with our Qualia platform, and we support we essentially have the largest title footprint of any company in Washington, supporting the Western Washington area. So we support Snohomish, King, Pierce, Thurston, Mason, and Kitsap counties. You know, we might be growing pretty soon, so more to come there. And I just wanted to let you know that we appreciate those we've had a chance to work with and look forward to working with so many more. So I thought we'd get started by just sharing our mock-up. Give me 1 second. Before we begin, I just wanted to chime in with Ellesia. So Allesia's been in the business quite some time. I want her to give you a little bit of a background of where she's come, what she's done, so you understand that when you're coming to us for title work, and hopefully escrow too, that, you know, Ellesia can tell you a little bit about herself. Ellesia?
Well, today we have our serious classes on today.
Should we maybe like reveal our true self? Okay, we're gonna reveal our true self. Okay, there we go.
Super serious here at AEGIS. So yes, my name's Ellesia Barradale, and I have been in the industry since 98. Do the math, it's a long time, it's too long. But I have worked for national brands, and I've worked with agencies, and I've been here with AEGIS since they purchased us just a little bit ago, but before then I was with other agencies like Attorneys Title, and so I have a knowledge of national brands, underwriting practices, and then indirectly, now that I've gotten into agency work, I am able to look and review underwriting practices for multiple title insurance companies. Our three currently are Stewart Title, Old Republic, and Westcor. And so we have three underwriters, and when you're dealing with a national brand, they only have their one. So it's a little different with agencies, and it actually gives us some flexibility and movement. If we don't get the answer we want to hear from one underwriter, I can check with two other underwriters to see if they feel the same way, and maybe we can resolve title issues just by moving the transaction to a different underwriter. So
yeah, and sometimes the pricing varies, but essentially it's pretty close to each other. Right?
They're comparable across the board. But if I'm using a Stewart Title underwritten file, my prices are going to be the same as direct operation, because we share the same rate schedule. So that, just know that's kind of how it works out in the long run. Let's see. I've been doing this since '93. I did all the beginning stuff. I put in all the hard work and to make it to where I'm at today. So I've done a little bit of everything, and look forward to learning more as I grow in this industry.
I want to say she has a whole family full of like title and escrow folks, and she has a very good grasp of the Pierce County record system.
Pierce County is my jam. I have spent most of my time working in this county because number one, I live and was raised here. So I have a lot of knowledge about that, but that doesn't take away from the other counties I work in. I can do the same in any other county. I'm just a little more familiar when you talk about addresses and places and know where that structure is, and can usually navigate any kind of risks just because I know the location and the people I'm dealing with.
And there's also a ton more officers as title officers as well in our organization as well. It's not just Ellesia. And we are also grooming some junior title officers as well. So we are going to have a whole legacy of folks that are able to help you. And this is all done stateside. We don't outsource anything overseas. So any of your files that come to us, it's all being done in-house.
In-house, it's being examined here and reviewed by each title officer before it's sent to all parties. So we're trying to navigate any kind of issues that you may have when you're listing the property. So if we feel that it's maybe a file that has a few complications, we tend to pick up the phone and call the agent just to make it clear that, hey, I just looked at this. These are some of the pitfalls that I'm finding, or I ask questions in order to resolve, vesting issues or any of those things. So we are doing our best to work with you because we know listing property is important, and it's important to get work out some of the kinks before you get that buyer on board, because they usually have an escalated closing date, and we want everything to be streamlined from that point. So that's the importance of getting your listing commitment before you put the property up actually listed. That way
we'll get that towards the end.
So we'll work into that too.
Okay, so let's get started with the commitment for title insurance. What you have in front of you, can you guys see my screen? Yes, I can't see anybody. Okay, great. So we kind of took the video off, so we're just chatting. So we're going to go forth and show you what a title commitment looks like, and I can also send out the PDF for you guys as well if you want to keep that on hand. But you probably have samples of your own. So the first page, not very exciting.
It's just a basic cover sheet, but it gives you who the buyer seller is and the property address to make sure that, or at least it pings an idea in your mind of what file you're working on.
Second, we're up to Schedule A.
Schedule A is a pretty important page within our commitment and within any commitment, to be honest, because in Schedule A, it's going to tell you who owns the property. And that could be an important key thing in order to sign. You want to know who's signing your legal documents and did you have the right person. So in here, not only do we have contact information for title and escrow who's assigned to this transaction, easily accessible to you, and it gives our office address, property address, and as we scroll down our little sample file of mixed seller and buyer
for James Bond.
This is the main bit of Schedule A that it will be important for you guys to look at. In this case, we're issuing we give an effective date, and that effective date is important because all the information up to that point should be located within this commitment. So any recorded matters should be addressed within our commitment based on that date. Anything that records after that date, we may need someone to give us a call and say, hey, this quitclaim deed just got recorded. How does it affect my transaction? And that way we can close the gap and update our file to be, as effective as possible and current. And in this, we tell you what policy we're issuing. And most sale transactions, you're going to be issuing two policies. One is the owner's policy, and that's the policy ensuring the buyer that they have free and clear title to this property, subject to some exceptions that we'll get to later. So that's the first policy. The second policy is if that buyer needed financing, the lender as well wants some insurance on their lien priority. So we in a sale typically issue 2 policies. And this was what it will look like in on Schedule A. Paragraph 3 has to do with how people hold title to their property. And in this case, in most cases, it's fee simple. You own everything up to the sun and everything to the center of the earth on your specific legal description. And that's what fee simple means. And most of transactions are fee simple, but there are from time to time, like maybe leasehold properties where they have a lease to be on the land, but they own the structure, and there's properties spattered all over all the counties that you can only acquire a leasehold interest in it. So that's one of the other ones we get across, but most of the time, fee simple is how everyone gets title to their property. Paragraph 4, that's our vesting. So when you're looking at your listing commitment, you want to kind of go straight to that paragraph 4 and see how it's vested. That way you can verify that the people who signed your listing agreement or your purchase and sale, are the people you thought you were dealing with. You know, if they are not, then you get to call us and say, I don't understand what happened. And then we can work through the details to see if there was something missing of the record, or maybe a conveyance document wasn't executed properly and we're not able to transfer title. That happens. And that's, again, another reason to have your listing commitment available to you, because that will hold up a transaction if we have conveyance issues and your owner is not entitled to the property they're trying to sell.
And I would encourage you guys to give us a call when you do have those questions early and often. We actually don't have a phone tree over here at AEGIS, so you can get right to a live person immediately. And we've got a staff of title examiners at each location that's able to help you answer it. So we encourage those calls earlier than later.
Yep.
Okay, so we're going to move to Exhibit A.
Yeah, so
right.
Paragraph 5 takes you into, which you guys I'm sure are aware of, is an Exhibit A, which is our full legal description. In ours, we include the abbreviated legal, the parcel number, and the property address. On this legal, they've included some easement access. So Parcel B and Parcel C have to do with how someone accessed their property, which is what ingress and egress stands for. It's over and back. So easements give rights to people to come across your property and exit from your property, and probably with sometimes just depends on what it is. Like if it's a utility easement, then they want to come in there and they want to work on their equipment, and so they have the right to get in there and make sure their equipment's running properly. So these are simple. This is easy to upload into the MLS when you need it, and we're happy to provide that to you separately if needed. Moving on to requirements. Most title companies have these, and we're not any different. Most requirements are going to disclose the recording fees, any additional like e-recording fees that are effective for our company, and then Washington state statutes for how to record, what the requirements are in order to record documents. There are specific things we have to show them in order to record and record with the auditor. And we want to do these things to be good custodians of the record, and that way so future title reports down the road don't have any issues. But that's another reason why you get title insurance, is so that we can help protect you if we made a mistake. So that's the requirements. They're just simple, and that's nothing that really changes.
Kind of boilerplate stuff,
Boilerplate.
right? Yep.
That's the word.
That's the word.
Thank you.
Okay, no worries. That's what I'm here for. And I would encourage whoever is on the call, as we start getting into general exceptions and then exceptions, if you have questions, please just let us know.
Yeah, general exceptions are boilerplated, but can be or will be removed depending on type of title insurance the consumer has elected to purchase. So if you're getting the homeowner's policy on and that's on your ML, on your purchase and sell, you've elected for the homeowner's coverage, those general exceptions are going to be removed, and they have their own set of exceptions. They are the homeowner's policy is the Cadillac of title insurance policies. So it provides the ultimate amount of coverage for residential sales, and that's why it's in the MLS form the way it is. But if they elect to choose the owner's standard coverage, all of these general exceptions will remain on the final title policy. So you get some coverage, but you're going to take your coverage subject to some of these items on there, and that's how that policy is built. Lenders, purchase money lenders, they typically will always have extended coverage, which is a little bit more coverage than standard. And those general exceptions are going to be removed in those kinds of transactions. But we do have lenders who don't mind having standard coverage. It's a little bit cheaper, and they don't care if they're in first lien priority, or they may have insurance already on a first and just need a second. So you'll see those in all title commitments, and depending on the policy that you choose, you're choosing, it will determine if those will stay in or come out.
Great.
That's all I got for that.
Okay.
You got any questions about that?
No.
Okay.
I know this pretty well,
Oh, good.
but it's always fun having you here. I think it's always interesting to see the special exceptions. What's the underlying story on the property? So this is Schedule B, Part 2. Again, this is our sample file. Look for the funny portions on this page.
These are, yes, the special exceptions in any commitment are going to be specific for the real estate under search. So whereas the other stuff were boilerplated and they hit every single commitment, these things are going to be just specifically for the property that you are dealing in. And it's this was what you would provide to your buyer, so they can review the exceptions. These typically do not come off the policy; they will remain. So paragraphs 1 through 6 of this special exceptions would probably remain on title. Not to say that they couldn't be removed, but you'll need to call your senior title officer in order to discuss whether it's a matter that can be removed or how to go about removing it. Most of them require, especially with easements, would require the benefiting party to get involved to release. So typically on a residential sale, you're going to see those remain because you need your utilities, you need your, all of those things set up there. Road maintenance agreements, that's a big deal. So road maintenance agreements, CCNRs, usually I want to put an eyeball on those things and read them. As a buyer, I want to know what I'm getting myself into. And, sometimes the things in those covenants are above what you're willing to commit to as a buyer. So you don't want to get all the way in and realize that, oh my gosh, I bought into an HOA and I didn't know anything about it, and now I can't have my RV on the property. So road maintenance agreements usually have some money tied to it, so buyers want to know if they're collecting monthly dues or things like that. And as you go down our commitment, we start to get into monetary matters. And first and foremost is the most superior monetary matter is taxes. Taxes are always the most superior lien on your property. Should you ever stop paying your property taxes, the county will take your property to recover those payments. So that's why they're usually ahead of any deed of trust or anything like that. It's not in our state. There's nothing you can do about that. It's superior. So in my experience, most lenders will be collecting the property taxes so that they can ensure that those taxes are being paid promptly, and then their asset is not being foreclosed on by the county. And so that's just one little thing. And then so here in paragraph 8, this is our current mortgage on the property. And Lucille and Desi borrowed $184,000 this year in August. When we disclose this liens or deeds of trusts or any of that, usually we're giving you the amount that it was originally written in on the deed of trust or on the lien itself. Since since they took the loan out, I'm sure they're making monthly payments, which is cutting down on that payoff amount. But just know that that's the original amount. So once we're in contract, we can find out from the lender how much is actually due on the loan, and that will help with determining proceeds and or if money needs to come in to in order to sell. So in this case, they bought a loan for $840,000, a little over the assessed value of $791,000, but market price is a little bit better than the assessed value. So
And they had to pay more because
it's the market.
it's the market.
dictates
Maybe that's why. Yeah.
that, and then when the price, when the market is up and we're doing well, combinedly the assessed value of your property will increase as well, and you might be paying more taxes the following year.
And
So,
again, this is not a real title commitments, but we're just playing along.
yes.
Any questions so far? Okay.
We'll continue down with something we usually ask for. In this case, we're asking for a homestead affidavit. So there's a question of maybe a spouse that's living at the property that's not entitled. It happens all the time. People are married or single when they acquire property, but since we're a community property state, we have to address homestead rights and community property rights. And so when you see our title commitment, we're going to be asking for some affidavits to be completed in order for us to answer those questions and make sure we have all the right parties signing. Because if you have a homestead, you're living at a property, it's your declared homestead, but you're not on title of the property, you have homestead rights. And I may require that you sign the deed out to the new buyer for your homestead rights. So those are the questions that we're trying to answer so that escrow can get the right people in for signing. When we're doing listing commitments, 10 and 11, you'll see those on there. We're not sure who the buyer is going to be, and we don't have a copy of the written contract. So we usually set those up as a default paragraph, just, mostly to make you aware that this is a listing commitment and we're not in contract. Paragraph 12 is your road maintenance dues, importance of why it's important to read the road maintenance agreements, because Ron Howard didn't pay his portion of the road, and the association liened his property, and therefore he can't sell it or refinance it without paying off his debts. And so that's important for buyers to know so they can prepare for that in the future. Paragraph 3 is 13, sorry.
It's okay.
Is excise. And everybody knows about excise. That's anytime property is being transferred from one person to another, it has to go through the process of excise, and the question has to be asked, does excise apply or does it not? And in most sale transaction, the answer is absolutely yes, it does. And it is a percentage of the sales price based on this 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 different
Graduated.
excise rate that they've come out with recently. So there are calculators out there to help you with that if you need it, if you're just trying to figure out what that cost would be, advising your seller, because sometimes they can be surprised by that fee when we're at the table for closing, but it is required. And
I wonder if that ever affects the selling price. You know,
in my experience, it does
Yeah.
affect the
Yeah.
selling price because sales price is negotiable. So it just all depends on how you negotiate your contract with your seller and your buyer. And
I wanted to also just give you a break and just let you know that we have a AEGIS app for iOS or Android. One of the features of that app is a RETA calculator that's right on there. We also have a payment calculator, samples of our home book, things like that. So, but the RETA calculator is the first thing that you'll see on there. And it's kind of nice when you're out in the field just to have that tool right at your fingertips. It makes you look great in front of your clients.
yeah, Greenane has more tools than I do, and thank you. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, always coming up with stuff like that.
I love it. I love it. 15 and 16 are duplicates and 17 is a duplicate of what we already have in our commitment.
Oh,
So
sorry.
there you
That's
go.
my bad. Okay.
And then towards the end of our commitment is notes. And in the notes, these are usually directed to the lenders out there. They want to know the property address, the endorsements we're issuing, which is a different subject for a later date, and legal description, last vesting deed. In this case, we really are just showing you our COVID pandemic note, and that all title companies have now had to address and deal with, because sometimes the county level shuts down, and then we're not able to close our transactions like we are typically used to. So
But this ensures that they're going to be insured
correct.
if the county closes down.
Yes.
So I don't know if you guys know about that, but
Yes.
when your signers come in, we'll have them acknowledge that.
Right. If it is going to be a thing.
If
But
it's a thing, yeah. Seems to be a thing.
it seems to be a thing. This is actually the word for word commitment for title insurance by Stewart. And all of so this file is underwritten by Stewart. If it's underwritten by Old Republic, it'd have a different commitment.
That's the official.
This is the official underwriter for this file.
Right. You want to go into this?
Well, just this last few pages are kind of little definitions and things about our commitment that are not easy reads, but the first one is really good because it has some definitions for words that people don't often use because they only buy one house, and this is not common language for most people. So that helps, and then it kind of breaks down what our commitment's about and its liability and
Just the legalese.
legally stuff that
Yeah.
we deal in.
We also put in some helpful tips as well. We have a battery of videos as well on our website. So if we're trying to explain what a title commitment is to our customers, we can definitely lean on these very cute, cartoony videos that will sustain everybody's attention. So I'm happy to put you in touch with those if you would like to look great in front of your clients and give them some more explanation of what to expect during the process. Because a lot of people start getting nervous about this time.
Yes. And the idea is we want to reduce everyone's stress as much as possible. Buying a house is important, one of the biggest investments most people make, and we want it to be a good experience. So the more they know, the better off the whole transaction will be.
Yeah. And just some helpful tips from us. So just make sure you're talking to your sellers and your buyers. For your sellers, if there was a death, make sure that they did a probate. If they didn't, we can definitely point them in the right direction to get that sorted out. I recently had a file where we're just trying to find that death certificate. That was the one thing holding things up. It was, but make sure, and also encourage people to make sure they have hands on that certificate when needed.
Yeah, there's definitely hoops to go through when the seller, when a seller or all the sellers have passed away. We are not a probate state, so it's not a requirement to probate, but it might be the best way to pursue selling a property to probate. But please call me. We have other ways around it, and I want to discuss those things because I would prefer we didn't put that money out, or no one had to put that money out for a probate when it's not really necessary. It just
Right.
depends on the situation. Sometimes it is completely warranted to probate a state, especially if the heirs are not getting along, because the probate will appoint one person to talk on behalf of the entire estate. And then also in that turn, money can be put into the probate, and then the courts can deem who gets what out of that. And then we have less liability and you as agents have less liability too.
Do you guys have any questions on the first item? It seems to be like, okay.
If you have an LLC or a trust and they're entitled to the property, or they're going to be purchasing the property, I'm going to ask you for a copy of their operating agreement, their trust agreement. Those are just standard questions. I need to verify that those who say they have the power really do have the power, and that those are important things. So if you're selling a property in an LLC, make sure you've asked for that operating agreement, so that we can get that over to the title team to review. That way it doesn't hold up closing in that respect. Same with trusts. Those are the same deal, that there is a mechanism within a trust that gives powers to trustees to sell property or refinance property. So we want to see that to verify that everyone has the right to do what they say they're going to do.
And we will never complain about too much information. If you feel like it might be helpful, please send it over. And for those of you that have worked with us before, we operate off the Qualia platform. It's not proprietary to us. It's a kind of a new platform that keeps everything together. Typically in the title and escrow world, there's a platform for title in the olden days. There's a platform for escrow, and then there's some secure location where you keep all your secure documents, and never the twain shall meet. But Qualia keeps us all under one umbrella: title, escrow, and the securing of documents. So as you send documents to us, including your PSA, you'll be given access to Qualia. I know it's another password, but trust me, it's going to be very helpful to you and your transaction coordinator. And that allows you to access documents on the fly, again, right in front of your customer while you're at it on property. You're going to be able to access everything that you need.
Or outside of our regular working hours. So sometimes
Yes.
you're at 10 o'clock at night and you need to look at it. That's you can log into Qualia and see what's going on or what's been submitted already. So
you can chat with us, you can phone us, you can video conference with us as well, all through the Qualia platform. And what's nice is that everything is documented so that there's a record of those conversations and they're permanent to the file.
Yeah.
I talked about that RITA calculator. Here are the QR codes to go ahead and access the AEGIS Land Title Group app. And in there also is a little black book for brokers. So a lot of this terminology and those definitions are going to be in the little black book for brokers. If you need a good way to fall asleep, or you just want to be like the most amazing realtor of all times, read through that. That's really great. It's going to make you the smartest person in the room.
I do have one more thing on your list of helpful tips and items that we should include.
What's that?
If your seller or your buyer is using a power of attorney, it is going to be asked that you provide a copy of that power of attorney, especially when selling property, because we want to know who are the players and how they relate to the transaction. And sometimes I'm not given that information in the beginning, so it's unclear as to who really is who is asking us to set the file up. The other thing we want to do is we want anyone unaware that their power of attorney is being used to sell their property So your title company is going to ask you some questions and mainly of, have you talked to the principal of, do they know it's being used? Do you have a copy of it? That way we can navigate that part of it, because a power of attorney, not all power of attorneys are created equal. And so sometimes what power of attorney you think you're using or is going to use for this transaction may not be available to us. So sometimes if the principal is out of the country, we still want to verify that they're aware, that they know that it's being used. And so your escrow team will be calling and checking on those things to verify. So it's kind of, we don't want to sell people's properties that we shouldn't.
Hands down. I just wanted to say my QR code was at the bottom of this document, but I think we can just send you kind of a recap so that people have a sample of that PDF with my contact information. So if all else fails and you don't know where to go, just give me a call. We also wanted to let you know that in Tacoma, we have after hours signing. So we have 11 to 8, Monday through Friday, and we can schedule weekends as well. So hopefully that helps out with your signers that need some help. And we also offer remote online notary at no additional fee. So as long as the lender agrees, or if we have a seller that's like, obviously we don't need any lender agreement to do a remote online seller. So it's basically essentially, does everybody know? No, probably a lot of people that don't know. So remote online notary, or RON, it's basically what we're doing now, except Isaac would be showing me his ID. I would be looking at what he's signing at the time, because he's going to have received all of his documents in the mail with a big sign that says don't sign until your session has started. And then those are all submitted back to us, and we can sign with anybody virtually around the world. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah, very convenient new feature.
New feature. Right, and that's all going to go through Quali as well.
Yes.
So please share your questions with us at this time, if you have any.
I was just about to say that is really cool. I hadn't heard of that, because for those who don't know, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, in the past you couldn't do remote signing unless it was cash deal. So that's really cool. I don't know of anybody else doing that.
I think the lender, the lenders are they're going to get more on board, and they're being pushed more because of, because of the pandemic, and it's getting more difficult, but not all lenders are there. They have to have confidence in the raw notary and actually have the platform on their, secured site on. And so it's a collaboration of many parties, but I foresee we're going to be moving towards most raw signings all over the place.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting how that works out. And in addition to virtualizing things, we're also going to be offering ACH deposits for earnest money on our website for no additional fee. So that's something that's coming probably early January. And we also have BankShot, which is a quick app. Everything's an app, I know, but it's all for security. So a little bit of setup on the front end, but you can securely submit your earnest money virtually anywhere. So any questions? I'd love to meet with you individually. Set you up with a farm that gives you emails and phone numbers, and get more involved with your business and start preparing you guys for a great season next year. Any other questions before we go?
No questions on my end, but thank you so much. That was really informative.
Good. And it's a lot. So if you need to rewind and pick up the parts that you needed to review, I believe this is recorded, so you'll be in good shape.
Yeah. And if anyone has a specific, because no file is ever, ever the same. So if you have there's always going to be one that's unusual, and I'm happy to discuss those with you and see if I can help troubleshoot or get you in contact with people that can help you with that.
And as far as our title commitments, please expect those within 4 to 6 days. Even on our worst day, we think we're pretty quick on that.
Yeah,
So
we're pretty special.
we're pretty special. Just kidding. But thanks, you guys. Happy holidays. If there's no more questions, we'll bow out.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you taking time.
Great. Thanks for coming, Isaac. Bye, you guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you very much.